Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the podcast that is CryptoSetups. And today we're going to be talking about the wonderful world of RPCs. Now, if you don't know what that is, like I didn't, I'd heard of it. Well, good news, I have Leah, who is from BlockPi, and she is going to tell us about the wonderful world of RPCs. But before we dive into that, how are you, Leah? And welcome to the show.
Well, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for inviting me to join your show. I really love what you did before, and it is really my honor to talk about RPC for BlockPi.
Excellent. No, love having you on the show. So let's dive in. First, well, I know your name. Do you want to tell us who you are and what your company does?
Of course. So hi everyone. I'm Leah, and I'm from BlockPi. So I work in the business development and marketing team. So basically, BlockPi is a globally distributed cross-chain uh, RPC service network built for Web3 developers. We mainly focus on building a distributed acceleration network, providing very high level RPC services to support blockchain activities and to provide a better network accessibility and service availability for Web3 developers. So based on our services, developers, they are able to provide their services on multiple chains and without any obstacles. And they can also further realize a cross-chain interoperability as needed.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to dive into a few more questions in detail to help explain what a lot of that meant. But before I do that, Leah, I'm throwing a surprise question at you. What about you? How did you get into crypto?
Um, Interesting question. Well, I actually, you know what? I was majored in um, mathematics and finance before, and I never heard of crypto in you know for like during my school time. And then when I went out of school and looking for a job, and I was like searching a lot of options, I want to know like what I can do, with my skills. And so I talked to a lot of friends, and I met all kinds of people who work in different industries,
Yeah.
and I try to figure out what is the most interesting thing, or like what's the most promising career that in the future, 5 years or like 10 years or even like 20 or 50 years, bum. I and then I get the crypto industry. I was like, wow, this is what I'm talking about. This is something we should all be look forward in the next 20 or like 50 years.
Yeah.
So I guess this is why I made my decision in working in the crypto industry.
Awesome. That's actually is a fascinating story because it doesn't revolve. You've heard of Bitcoin and stuff. It was the other route. You studied in the field and then kind of did an assessment of where you want to work, and you found the crypto was the space to be in. Fantastic. Okay, so Leah, let's get down to the nitty gritty now. So you gave a good overview of what the company does, and there was a lot of tech talk in there. Now, let's simplify it a little bit. And can you explain to me what an RPC is and how it works?
Yeah, of course. I noticed that like a lot of people do not really know what RPC stands for. So it's basically very simple. RPC generally refers to a remote procedural call protocol. It is to call a function or a method on another machine from one machine by passing certain parameters and then to get the return result. So specifically, so when a remote procedural call is invoked, its call environment is actually suspended, and then the procedural parameters are passed over from the network to the environment where the procedural will execute. and then the procedure is executed in that environment. Later, when the procedure completes, the result will be passed back to the calling environment, where execution continues as if returning from a regular procedural call. I'm not sure if this is like understandable for everyone, but this is really like the simplest version of what RPC is and how it works.
Yep.
I hope it's like is something that people can understand. So it's
Yep.
basically you want to do on-chain interactions, like make a transaction or checking your balances and etc. And then you don't run your own nodes. So this is what we do. So we help you to connect you to blockchain to get your on-chain interaction to get the data that you want.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So that's how I was taking it. So putting it very simple, it's essentially when your wallet is fetching the information it needs to from the blockchain or from applications, RPC, that's where the RPC it passes the information from your wallet. It uses those back channels to push the information where it needs to go, and then gets a response back. Is that very?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
you can understand that way.
Yeah.
Because like right now we live in all different places in the world, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to get data, if like maybe like you live in Australia and then you need to get data from the server from like China or wherever it is. And it's a remote call procedure, so you need something in the middle to help you to make the request and passing those information and get the results back to you.
Yeah. Okay. So then, I think we covered. I was thinking in the context of cryptocurrency, but we've covered that at a very high level, which is great. So then, what are the benefits of using an RPC infrastructure for a blockchain or cryptocurrency project?
Uh, well, sure. Because RPC is it's more like designed for developers, so it really helps developers to cut off some like very complicated procedure when they build their project. Um, so with RPC infrastructure, the codes can be rewritten and redeveloped with the minimal effort, and it really helps to simplify the process of integrating with other systems for developers. And also, it can be used in a very distributed environment as well as a local one. Um, More importantly, it really helps the users. It actually hides the internal messaging mechanism from the users. So it's a protection of the data privacy and things like that.
Okay. Okay. And so, can you talk us through a specific example of how an RPC would be used in a typical protocol workflow?
Of course. In general, when developers build applications on the blockchain, they need to read and write data on the blockchain, right? Such as like they need to get block height, they test smart contract, or they want to send a transaction or query blockchain historical data. Um, so they might also need to run some call demands to perform some tasks like encrypting wallets or finding current block size or generating multi-signature addresses and things like that. So for a typical protocol workflow, when a user wants to say swap some token for some USDCs in a wallet in Uniswap using a Web3 wallet. And then he will set the transaction data and perform the send option on the wallet UI. And the wallet will actually rewrite this order to a JSON payload and then send it with the RPC endpoint, which is usually set by the user. The HTTPS protocol will help to transfer the data based on this RPC endpoint, and the destination is actually a blockchain RPC server. And this server will actually process these requests and interact with the blockchain for the user, and then send back the responses to the user. The result is either be success or not. And this is basically like how RPC service completes the transaction for the user.
Yep. Okay. So, given that this is literally how they use a wallet to interact with anything on the blockchain or any dApps built on the blockchain and fetch that information. So, RPC infrastructure is critical. And so what's different? I'm guessing you're not BlockPi is not the only BlockPi is not the only RPC infrastructure company that exists. So what's different? What makes your infrastructure, BlockPi's RPC infrastructure, stand out over the competition, or what's out there in the market?
Of course. So comparing to other mainstream RPC providers in the market, BlockPi is I think it's like kind of new in the industry. So one of our most important differences between us and other mainstream RPC solutions is that is our globally distributed network architecture. It is specially designed to be a multi-region architecture. And with this geolocation mechanisms, it actually ensures optimal routing of user requests to the closest point of presence relative to where a call is generated from. Uh, that means we can ensure, like with our specially designed mechanism, we can ensure that when user making certain requests using our RPC services, they will get the shortest time response, which means the lowest latency. And we can, because all of our servers are with the stablest, like hardware. So we can also ensure the very high performance of RPC services as well. And moreover, with our later development, we will be inviting third-party nodes to be connected and scattered all around the world. And this is to make sure that the the core point of Web3 industry, which is the decentralization. So we'll have the decentralization of the underlying blockchain infrastructure so that we can protect users' privacy and also to increase the reliability of data.
Yep. Okay, cool. And so basically, a lot of what you said in terms of differing is security and speed. And the reason why speed is important is why is speed important?
So let's say it's actually very simple. So let's say when there is like a very popular NFT that you want to mint, and there are like a lot of people also want to get this NFTs. That means like there is like traffic jam. So speed matters the most, right?
Yeah.
If you have like the fast internet or like the fast RPC services, and then you'll be the one who gets the NFT, not the others.
Yep. That is exactly what I was thinking in my mind, and you said the right example, because I was even thinking right now, as we're recording this, the Blur token, a new token airdrop for Ethereum holders, gas fees have gone through the roof at the moment, and that's again a great scenario where you've claimed these tokens and you've gone to swap it on Uniswap, and if there's low liquidity and a ton of activity in terms of transactions or swaps on these exchanges, those rates will start to fluctuate. And we know if you don't put the right slippage and you've waited a few seconds, all of a sudden you've missed out on the trade on Uniswap because the price has moved too much in the last 3 seconds before you were able to click and wait for the connection to go back and forth. So
Yeah,
this is, again, yes, excellent. Okay. So now I'm getting a picture in my head, understanding. I was clicking these buttons and I didn't realize what's going on in the back end, but now it's starting to piece together why RPC and that infrastructure is so important, and why there's so many new companies coming into the picture and trying to innovate in this space. So you mentioned security. Do you want to talk about what security measures have been implemented for your BlockPi's RPC infrastructure?
of course. We really value how security means to everyone. So we have done a lot of work in terms of security measures, which includes but not limited to preventing DDoS attacks, cyber attacks, privacy protection, dynamic load balancing, and etc. And it also should be mentioned that our globally distributed network architecture, will allow third-party RPC nodes to access to our network, and then we will have a complete scoring system to evaluate those nodes to ensure that each node can optimize their performance of handling users' requests. And by the meantime, we seriously value the importance of data privacy. So we do not record any privacy data up or RPC requests except the IP data. And even with the IP data, it will be completely erased after 7 days.
Okay. That's a good point, and that may resonate with a lot of listeners, because you've heard a lot of FUD around Infura that have been on the RPC for Ethereum, and I recall like a month ago there was news that they've retained all the IP addresses and
Yeah.
things like that. So this is something BlockPi don't retain after 7 days. Essentially, all that information is dusted.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so how does then the RPC, like your team's RPC infrastructure, contribute to the industry as a whole?
Well, that's a really big topic actually. Um, well, of course, the scalability of our PC services has always been a problem in the Web3 industry, right? Especially during bull markets, the infrastructure they cannot keep up with the huge increase in on-chain data requests, which results in a very large number of RPC requests from the user being unable to be processed. So we actually carefully thought through this problem when we first designed our network architecture. So the integration of these third-party nodes can actually very effectively solve this kind of issues. So with these nodes, they do not specifically provide RPC services for the BlockPi network during normal times. So when the number of user requests are within the usual range, those nodes can maintain their connections while only allocating a very small portion of resources to RPC requests and using the redundant resources for their other tasks. And when the request volume increases, and they can actually very quickly allocate the majority of the resources to handle the RPC request. So that is basically how we handle this the scalability of
Yeah.
the
So
overall system.
so you've mentioned this a few times and I've ignored it, but now I have to ask. So the goal is then to expand and have third-party nodes run and process these transactions to get them, as part of what the RPC infrastructure does. But what's in it for what? Why would a third party um, node jump on the bandwagon to help process that information and get it back and forth? What's in it for the third party?
Well, good question. So we will have a very complete incentive system
Mm.
to to encourage the third party nodes to join in and to get rewards. And
Okay.
there, we have this like scoring system and to evaluate their performances.
Okay.
So
Okay, no, that's good. That's helped clear up a little bit in my mind as well. Because I keep thinking of Graph. I know Graph is an RPC, but they do back end infrastructure indexing, and part of that they've decentralized it and release nodes, and their nodes are incentivized. And this was one of the questions I had for them. Why would someone run a node if, because it costs money and things like that, so that there needs to be some kind of incentivization, which you've covered. Okay, so we've covered a lot broadly, and how RPCs and what RPCs are, what BlockPi is about, and why they're different, and how they're innovating in the space. So what I wanted to know is, now, can you give a specific example where BlockPi's infrastructure has been used in a project?
of course, we actually have already partnered with a lot of projects, ranging from a DeFi project to security project, like all kinds of project, because they all need RPC services to have the zone chain interactions and to develop their project. So I'll just give a very example, a successful implementing example. Well, it is a monitoring protocol, and because of the lack of authorization, so I won't mention their names here, but well, in general, the operator of the protocol's nodes, they actually earn tokens based on the performance scores of their nodes. So and the nodes, they usually need to use RPC services to retrieve information from other blockchains. So the performance of RPCs actually really significantly impact their the nodes performance score. And there will, like, initially there are some node operators from this community. They are trying. They try to use BlockPi's RPC services, and then they find out, okay, their nodes performance scores actually have been improved very, very significantly by using our RPC services. So, and then this is like why our reputation has widely spread out in that community, and we'll have more and more node operators in the protocol community, and to start it to switching from the other RPC providers to ours.
Okay, cool. So how long has BlockPi been existing for?
Just like about a year,
Okay.
and for the majority part of this year, we've been very dedicated in the development part.
Yep. And have you found, obviously, so you would have come in during the peak bull run, and obviously it starts to taper off. What have you found in the bear market now, in terms of protocols approaching and wanting to address, their RPC infrastructure needs? Have you seen a bit of a pickup? Because even though we're in a bear market, the builders are still building. In fact, more building than during the bull market. Have you found that reflective in terms of requiring the RPC infrastructure?
Yeah, so actually, we found that like developers, they are more into looking for a you know a cost effective and high performance and low latency RPC services.
The
And
trifecta, huh? All three.
yeah, yes.
Speed,
So
cheap.
this is exactly what we can offer,
Yeah.
because we have been we have been spending a lot of time in building the best project for everyone in this industry, so we can ensure the very high quality of our services. And by the meantime, we like totally understand that like in the current market, people are lack of funds. So we are able to offer them, the best price they can get.
Okay. And Leah, what about, so you gave an example of how a protocol used, but what about chains? You mentioned multi-chain and things like that. Currently, what could you go through the blockchains BlockPi supports in terms of RPC infrastructure?
Yeah, so we currently covers about like 15 chains.
Okay.
Most of the majority of the EVM chains like Ethereum, uh, and etc.
Yeah.
And we are also developing into a non-EVM chain like Cosmos, Near, and they are coming very soon within either end of February or early March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So
Good
the
to know.
more chains that we cover, like the last effort the developers need to make when they do cross-chain or like multi-chain projects, because they can.
Uh,
We are like a one-stop RPC services
yeah. Yeah.
for
One-stop
them.
shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Love it. Okay. I think we've covered quite a lot today, and got quite granular and detailed as well. Is there anything, Leah, that I haven't asked you that you felt you wanted to talk about regarding RPCs or what BlockPi does?
Uh, yeah. So like I just mentioned, our uh, our our architecture and our mechanisms are very specially designed to be geolocation, and because we want to make sure that users or like developers use when they use our RPC services, they can actually experience the high quality, the high performance, and the lowest latency uh, they can ever get. And one more thing is that we currently are offering great deals on the price as well, because we understand how hard it is to build in this current market, and we want to support with our fellow
Yeah.
our fellow
Builders.
developers in this industry, and then when the market is back, we can all get what we want.
So then, Leah, how do builders, if someone listens to this podcast and a dev's listening in and they're like, oh, this is great, I want to investigate more, where do they go? Who do they contact? What number do they call?
Well, the first thing you can do is search the real BlockPi on Twitter and then follow us. And you can always send a direct message to this Twitter account, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. And yes, if you have any question, just tag us on Twitter.
And there's a website as well, right?
Yes, it's
BlockPi.io.
blockpi.io.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Anything else, Leah?
Um,
No pressure. No, it's okay. I think that's rounded it off really well.
yeah.
Look,
So
yeah.
yeah, and you guys are also welcome to to DM me as well. You can find me somewhere on Twitter too.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Well, what we'll do is I'll get all those links from you and we'll put it in the show notes. So if anyone wants to inquire and get in touch, they can. I want to thank you, Leah, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. In fact, if everyone must know, Leah actually reached out to me because she's watched some of the content on the channel and expressed interest here, and I was very excited because it was a topic I knew nothing about until she contacted me, and I'd heard RPCs, but like I said earlier, I never really dived into what it was. I just ignored it. When I click a button, it works. I was quite happy with that. I never thought about what happened on the back end of it. So I really enjoyed our interview today, Leah. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Hopefully, we can have you back soon when there's major developments, when you launch the incentivization program to get external nodes about processing stuff. It'll be good to do a bit of an update to see how things are tracking along there.
Of course, of course. I mean, like I mentioned before, it's really my honor to join your show because I really love, the content that you made before. And like I mentioned a lot of times, I love your smile.
Thanks.
So yeah, it's really a great pleasure to to talk with you today. And I mean, I'm very look forward to for more talking with you later.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, everyone. As always, not financial advice. We're just here educating and talking about new protocols. Thank you, Leah, for coming on the show. Like, share, subscribe, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.